everyone. Welcome back to the Exhaustion Epidemic Summit, a free online series. I'm your host, Heather Russell. I'm a health coach and herbalist, and I'm excited to introduce you to the show today. My goal is to help you with your health and wellness so that you step out of overwhelm, anxiety, and stress into renewed self and living your vibrant life. I'm excited for my guest today. My guest today is Dr. Megan Burt. Dr. Megan is a chiropractor, educator, and healthy living encourager. She's also a wife and mom to two sweet girls. Dr. Megan's love of natural health started many years ago before getting her chiropractic degree. Healthy food and nutrition was the catalyst into becoming a chiropractor, and she was able to achieve healing in her own body through natural means. Dr. Megan wants to inspire a love of natural health in women and believes every individual has the opportunity to live their healthiest life possible. She is also on a mission to simplify healthy living for busy women so they can begin to just enjoy food, enjoy health, and enjoy life. Welcome to the show, Dr. Megan.
Hey, welcome, or thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on and to chat. So yes.
Thank you for being on. So we had talked about clean beauty, and I wanted to kind of get a little bit so that the audience hears, how you kind of got started into really moving over to a clean beauty routine, and and how that's kind of expanded and what's
Right. So when I worked in practice as a chiropractor, we had our intake forms and I was doing functional medicine, and people would check, do you use conventional hair products, beauty products, personal care products, makeup? And I disliked that question a lot because I hadn't transitioned my products over, because it's really hard to find products that work, that are clean. And so then when they would check it, I'd be like, oh, I'm sure that there's some not so great things. And I would just skim the top of things, like, let's switch deodorant, let's work on switching lotions. But when it came to skincare and makeup, I just kind of didn't do it because I hadn't done it in my life. And also I used to think that taking care of your skin was really high maintenance. And so I was like, I don't wash my face a couple times a week. When the makeup builds up, I'll wipe it off. No cleansers. I'd have a moisturizer and coconut oil, and slap on some argan oil and call it good. And I have really resilient skin. So I thought, well, because I don't have a bunch of breakouts and all that, it's fine. Realizing my skin was so dry. I still always fight dryness with my skin, but it was uneven. I didn't feel that confident without makeup on because it just felt like my skin just didn't look that good. And so the kind of transitioning over, I found one particular company and got really just into just clean beauty because I got to change my makeup over and I loved it. And I had just left practice at that time, and I signed up and bought a bunch of makeup because I trusted the company, and I was like, about time that I switched my stuff over. And then realizing I should probably start washing my face about 5 years ago. And just realizing that because I've always been, take care of your body from the inside out. And I wholeheartedly still believe that, but our skin is external, but it is an organ. So its external is also kind of its internal. And so we do need to take care of our skin well, because yes, it's going to help our confidence and help our just skin look better. And we can do that while using clean products, which I think we as women have a really hard time with. We put about 12, on average, 12 products on a day. So we can choose, are those products healthy and safe, or are they going to have ingredients in there that you don't want or don't know about even? That's a big one, that you're putting on your skin. And you're doing so many other great things for your health. We want to make sure we address this too.
Completely. So can you also talk a little bit about how that chemical load that we're inputting into ourselves really contributes to this exhaustion and this stress level essentially, right? Because it stresses your body, and how that affects us.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not okay, here's one thing we do and it's going to be the magic potion. It's very, very holistic. I think we need to have our toolbox that we fill with nutrition and with we're moving our body and exercise and so many other things, stress management. When it comes to beauty, I feel what I've seen from most of us women is we get really set on our routine. when it comes to our makeup or our skincare. And we go, okay, I can do the nutrition thing and I can do the exercise thing, but don't take away my lipstick that I love, that I've been using for 10 years. Don't take away whatever it is, because we just get into that groove. And so then we don't realize that we're putting on our bodies, because not actually everything that you put on your skin absorbs into your skin. Some things don't, but for the most part, most things absorb very quickly within less than a minute. I've heard 22 seconds. How accurate that is fully, I'm not sure. I always like to be the most accurate as I can. And so then we're putting things on our bodies that we're trying to avoid when we don't use our microwave, we don't heat things up in plastic, but then we put parabens on our skin. And that's a hormone disruptor. It's known to disrupt our hormones. Or we're using products that have fragrance listed. So I'm not saying your products can't smell, but the scent is different than fragrance. Fragrance is a loophole. It means you can stick anything in there, all sorts of junky scents. Plus you can put phthalates in it, which are endocrine disruptors. They impact fertility. And so we don't want phthalates in there. And there can be scents that are, once again, known to disrupt our hormone levels. And so a lot of things, or just plain old, are known carcinogens, which are cancer-causing agents. And so that's where I think clean beauty is so important, because we tend to push it to the side. And I'll just say this now, but we can get into it too, and the ways that we can go through and replacing. But it really is, once you kind of figure things out, there's some trial and error. It really is just going, I buy this now and I switch over to here. So it's that lateral shift, which I think is really important in our health and everything. For food, I used to buy this and now I buy this as a healthier replacement. We can do the same thing and use the same concepts in clean beauty. Here's a lipstick that's conventional, that's probably full of heavy metals. And here's one that I know uses safe colorants. They test for heavy metals and it's pink to pink. It might not be the exact same color, but you're going to get the same high performing lipstick, but you know that it's clean.
Exactly. And then it was I was also a long time ago, I think it's how women wear red lipstick and we like our red lipstick, but it has so many chemicals. And it's but every time you're licking your lips and, your body's porous anyway, but you're licking your lips and you're really intaking it. And it's those the ingredients you use, like you had just mentioned, right? It gets absorbed into your skin and we just are not really considering that.
Yes. And the red and pink colorants especially are the highest in lead levels, so heavy metals. And so just knowing that not only are you just putting it on your skin, but you're literally putting it on your lips. And though I don't sit and eat my lipstick, you really do eat your lipstick. And so it is important to know that that your lipstick is safer, especially I love when a company will test for heavy metals, because then I have 2 little girls. My littlest does not play with my makeup yet. My 4-year-old will sometimes come out and she's got lipstick everywhere. And I'm like, girlfriend, that's safe. We're good. It doesn't upset me, because there was, I don't know who put this out. It was in the news, not huge news, but Claire's and Justice, I think, we all know Claire's. And I don't know if Justice sells clothes or whatever, but they sell little kids makeup, play makeup. And they tested it, and both of them were found to have asbestos in the kids' makeup. And it's cheap makeup made from who knows where with whatever ingredients. And so although the makeup that I use is not the cheapest one out there, I know that it's safe. I let my 4-year-old, within reason, play with it. She loves the shiny eyeshadow. And so she puts it on or puts some here. And I can rest assured knowing that there's not asbestos in that. And so we have to be careful with our kids too, in the products that we're using with them and our families. And so I'm well, someday when you really do want to wear makeup, we will invest in good stuff. And someday when you just really want to play with makeup, you can play with mommy's makeup, because that matters to me.
Completely. I mean, I remember playing with my mom's makeup myself. And, when I see my nieces, also playing with my sister's, makeup, I'm grateful that they are using cleaner beauty products, because they're not taking on that kind of the metals and the petroleum products, the parabens at such an early age, because your body can't expel them and it's cumulative.
Yeah, they did a study on teenagers, and I don't know how many they did, but they found about 20 different chemicals in their bloodstream, parabens, dioxins, phthalates, which a lot of them can be directly related to the products that you put on your body. So it's getting in our body, it's building up, and it's testable limits or testable levels too. So yeah, it's so important. Start young, even if you're older, start now.
Yes, what are you waiting for? So can you give some tips for somebody who's like, like they just kind of had their light bulb moment and,
Mhm.
is like, well, there, like you said, there was a thing about like efficacy, well, it's not going to be as good. Then there's the misnomer about natural, which technically doesn't mean clean beauty.
Yeah.
um like like it's confusing, so we don't want to add to like this overwhelm anyway, but you have to like be cognizant of the things that you're putting on your body as much as in your body, like you've mentioned. So how would somebody get started? Like what are some ways that someone would get started without like being like, wow, it's going to cost me, and
Right.
stressing more?
Yes. Because I mean, the ultimate is going, I'm buying everything new tomorrow. Well, okay, that's a great concept, but bottom line, none of us can afford all of that. So how do you take those small steps? So first and foremost, you want to choose good companies. And that's actually, I think, trickier than changing the products, because just like you said, Heather, natural means about what natural means in food. It comes from the ground. It comes from something natural. Well, that doesn't mean anything. So natural doesn't mean a lot. In beauty, organic doesn't even mean that much. You can put organic on it. It has to have, I believe, 1% organic.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean very much either. And organic doesn't always relate to 100% safe, because if you're doing organic products, but you're using the like organic colorants, sometimes that could contain heavy metals. So just making sure that company, if they test for it, or like just having them just when they're marketing, that they're just being aware of that. I think that's really important too. And maybe we can go back like a couple steps, which I don't want to confuse people as we go on. But when we talk about the laws that are made for beauty products, this could just kind of bring things full circle, because I'm not huge for government regulations of things and being like, we need to make all of the rules and control everything. No, but in the cosmetic industry, there is like, there's like no levels of safety. That's what it comes down to. And so there hasn't been any major federal law passed since 1938. So just more recently, it went from 11 ingredients that are banned in the US to 30. The European Union bans 1,400, Canada bans 600. And think of all of the chemicals and ingredients that have been introduced since the Industrial Revolution. It's crazy. There's like 80 to 90,000, and so few have been tested on human health and safety. And so what can be made, this is my whole point, what can be made in the cosmetic industry is pretty much anything and put on the shelf in our country, in the US. And so what's really cool is today, I have to put this in because it's really exciting. The first step in new legislation was actually passed. And the new legislation is trying to bring the cosmetic industry up to the same safety standards as food. So it's like I said, it's not trying to do something super crazy, but with food, there's certain ingredients that are not allowed. There's certain things you can't put in there. And if there's a recall, like we all know, lettuce and E. coli or listeria or whatever is, popping up, they have to tell us as consumers. They pull it off the shelves, and it's like a stop sell. In cosmetics, you can create a cosmetic full of anything except 30 ingredients. You can put it on the shelf and test it full well, knowing that there was mold or realizing it was molding, and you can still sell it. There was a company that did that not too long ago, and that's not good for our health. And so we don't want that. So today, the first step in the new legislation was passed in the health and safety, or the Energy Commerce Subcommittee on Health. I want to make sure I got that right. And so that goes to the full committee, then it goes to the House floor, and then it goes to the Senate. So hopefully to pass some better beauty laws. That is always our goal. Okay, so now back to choosing companies, what to do. So just the label on it doesn't necessarily mean a lot, but once you found your company, then how do I switch my products? So this is always what I tell people. You want to choose the products that are going to sit on your skin the longest and that you use the most. So let's say you have a conventional cleanser that goes on quick and it comes off quick. Don't go out and buy a conventional cleanser, but use that up. And you also can go to the Environmental Working Group. The EWG has an app, but also online called Skin Deep. And it's incredible. You can type in the brand and the product. Not everything is rated, but you want your products to be 3 and under. That's going to be ideal. Up in the 9s and 10s, I'd probably say just toss the thing. Even if it's the cleanser, like you might not want to use that. See what's in it, and you can see what ingredients are ranking the highest. And then if there's not a product that's in there, then you can just like type in an ingredient and see the list. You kind of piece it together yourself. So you want 3 and under. On the EWG, there are EWG certified companies. So that'd be the best. That means all of their products are 3 and under. And you can go there and shop with confidence and shop, like rest assured that you're getting good products. And so rate your products and then rate how often you use them. So let's say you had a lipstick and you're like, I wear lipstick twice a year and it doesn't rate 3 or under. Should you buy a new lipstick first? Probably not, because you don't use it. Now, my mom, she loves pink lipstick. She would go to sleep and still does sometimes with a little bit of pink lipstick on, and like it will be on her pillowcase. She's the one that needs to, and she does. She has I always buy her new lipstick. I'm like, here's the new pink. She has changed her lipstick. She needs to change lipstick more than she needs to change a cleanser because she wears her lipstick all the time. So you've got to just evaluate what you use and make those shifts gradually. So a foundation, that's going to be one to switch because it's on your skin all day. A moisturizer, that would be one to switch. It's on your skin all day. Lipstick, if you wear it a lot, or lip gloss, it's right on your mouth. So if it was a blush and you just put a little bit on, I'd put that lower than your like complexion products, your foundations, your concealers. Did I answer that question well?
You did.
Hopefully I didn't confuse too many people. It is a process, but it is those lateral shifts once you figure out. There is a little trial and error, I will say, in finding those higher performing products, the ones that you really like, but it's a worthy shift.
And I think that they're also becoming just so readily available too. Like locally, you can go in and get samples before you're like making a larger investment, you know, for instance, in a foundation or even just in a moisturizer. And then one other thing I wanted to talk to you about the skincare is sunscreen, and how like maybe you've switched over your clean beauty, right? And you're still wearing a toxic sunscreen, and we know that we need to, protect ourselves. And, what is your take on that?
Right. So sunscreen, I think it's a pretty easy one to switch up, honestly, even though as moms, there's been there's weird mom shaming things out there. Like, well, there's so much to do and I use toxic sunscreen. So what? Like there was this viral blog post a few years ago and it's like, that's actually a pretty easy one because nobody is going to be like, oh, the sunscreen makes my skin look so weird. Like a foundation might not be the right color.
Yeah.
It is pretty simple. So you're going to want a non-nano zinc oxide based sunscreen. It's called a physical sunscreen. It's actually like physically blocking those rays. And there are some great brands out there. Like Beauty Counter has a really great one. They have a lotion, a mist, and a stick. Badger has always been really good. And like our health food store sells some others. I feel like there's new companies coming in and out all the time. Badger, I will say all physical sunscreen. Badger has a new one that's a little less thick, but they're pretty white. They're pretty thick. If you're going to use your face, you're going to want to use like a stick, probably not the lotion because it's not going to blend in so well. That will look kind of funny. Way back in the day, Dr. Mercola, which I don't know if you know, he came out with a physical non-nano zinc oxide sunscreen, one of the first ones. And we all put it on and my dad went in the lake and he came up he was all white. We just laughed at him. They have improved a lot since then. So yes, you just maybe a little bit of white residue, but I think it's worth it. It's fine. Like I said, there's more in mists now, so they're a little thinner. And you're not going to have that same spray it on your hand and then rub it in versus like spraying everybody. And the safer companies will not do like the aerosol. They'll do like like a more of a pressurized can. I can't remember the exact terminology, where it's spraying out, but it's not releasing all those like microparticles that you're breathing in. You just spray it in your hand and rub it on. So that's, yeah. Sunscreen's a pretty easy shift now with so many more companies having them readily available.
Great. I was thinking like, can you imagine, like, hey, I've got, all this clean beauty stuff, putting on my makeup, I forget sunscreen, and it's like,
Right.
and that is incredibly, the ingredients in sunscreen is usually incredibly toxic.
Yes, and pretty like toxic to the environment too. I think it's oxybenzone is what's in a lot of sunscreens, and Hawaii banned it, so you can't use sunscreens with that because it hurts the coral reef so much. And so you think, okay, if that little bit gets into the ocean and destroys the coral reef, which you think like the water would circulate and not be that big of a deal, like what is it doing to our bodies too? I don't know that I want to know that. I haven't used it, and I'm also a big proponent of getting out in the sun, getting your vitamin D, but not burning. So what's that balance then between getting sun, and it is good to get sun, but also being really cautious not to burn, because that's going to be an issue too. And so we kind of play that line with the girls, like, let's get outside for a little bit. I'm going to keep an eye on you. Okay, come on, and let's put our sunscreen on if we're going to be out for longer. So it's a really good thing to have, especially fairer skin tones too. Really need to be more careful of that sun.
Absolutely. So do you have any other tips and tricks you want to share with our listeners about like clean beauty,
Okay, let me look. I did write a few things down. I will say one thing that people can get stuck on in beauty products in general, because we are told in food to read the labels. If you can't understand something, then it means you probably shouldn't buy it, because food is pretty standard. Like if it has a really crazy name, monosodium glutamate, we know not to buy that. It's actually different in food, or sorry, in cosmetics, because they use the international nomenclature. And so they will break down. So let's say it's a coconut oil based ingredient, but it's part of it that's extracted from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to say coconut oil. It's going to say the like more, it's not the chemical name, because that sounds like chemicals, the long name for it.
Yeah.
And so you're going to read that and be like, oh my gosh, that's a really nasty chemical I can't put on, when it's just a derivative of coconut oil. And as long as that company's doing a really good job and it's not like adding things to it, it's perfectly fine. And so you do have to be cautious of that label reading, so that it doesn't come across as like you're like just freaked out to put anything on your skin. The big things to look out for: sodium lauryl sulfate. Parabens are literally said parabens on there, fragrance, and then just knowing your company too, that has some transparency and is saying like, okay, we use good products. Here's the things we keep out of our products, because they will, even in the cleanest beauty, there's going to be names you're not going to understand. And then the other piece too, I always like to touch on, it is a higher price point. And that is because it takes a lot more to formulate it. The ingredients are more expensive. There is just a higher price point to safer beauty products. And that's where just going in and replacing one by one, you do not have to replace it all at once, like we talked about, although you might go, I need to do everything right now. Nope. And you can pick and choose, some from some companies, some from another company, and piece things together and build whatever you need for yourself. It takes time. That's okay. Little baby steps, because then you're not going to get overwhelmed by it. And I mean, my products, I feel like they last quite a while. I don't know if it's with all clean beauty, but I feel like when they're formulated really well and really potent, you're not going to use as much as kind of the like more like just baseline conventional ones where you're like using a ton of product all the time. So a little does go a long way. You will spend more, but is so worth that investment. I have a lot of people who are like, it is expensive to buy. And I'm like, but they know it's worth it. Like, I'm going to buy here, I'm going to buy here, and just build things up. And yeah, it's great. It's great to do that. It's that good buy, like organic food, organic meat, grass-fed beef. It is more expensive. It's worth that investment.
It's worth it. Invest in your health now, so you're not paying for it later.
Yeah. And just like we started, if you're doing so many other things and you leave this part out, not that we're aiming for perfection, because there's no such thing as perfect, but you are missing out on, or you are having a lot more toxins, missing out on an area that you can very easily reduce toxins. And that's the goal. We cannot live this perfectly non-toxic life. I wish we could, but like you drive by and they're like asphalting the road and you're like, what am I breathing in? Like we can't live in a bubble. But what can we control? And this is one area that we can take control of that. I'm just gonna buy differently. And once you find your products, it doesn't have to be stressful anymore.
That's perfect. Take control of the things that you can control, right?
Yep.
And then stop stressing out about everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. So where can our listeners find out more about you? And I know you mentioned Beauty Counter, which I also love and shop at, especially once I, narrow it down where I was going to do my clean beauty routine. So tell us more.
Yes. So you can find me at meganburt.com and on Instagram at Dr. Megan Burt, Dr. Megan Burt. And then I am a Beauty Counter consultant. I love that. That is always my company of choice because I feel like they are one of the leaders in clean beauty and just doing so many things with transparency and testing. Like I said, there are other companies out there too, but that is the one that I have chosen and really, really love and respect. So if you want to learn more about Beauty Counter, you can go to meganburt.com/BC. And then I don't know if I can put it in here, but I put together just a little ebook so that everybody can learn more about clean beauty. Goes through a lot of these same things, some things more in depth, but if you're going, oh my goodness, where do I start or what do I do? That's at meganburt.com/cleanbeautybook.
Okay. I'll also have all this information linked down here below, Dr. Megan's website, the link to Beauty Counter, and then your free gift for attending the summit. So Dr. Burt, thank you so much for joining me today. I found this information so helpful, and I'm sure our listeners did as well. And I appreciate you being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love talking clean beauty. It's become such a passion of mine. And so I hope it helps a lot of people.
It will. And thank you so much for everybody tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.